They say that perfection doesn't exist in this game. Most players just don't have it in them. But those who dare to seek it might catch excellence. And that sounds perfect to me. So, I'm done playing. Let's drive.
A new series of racing about to get 2 rounds on tonight. Here's the first one. Jordan Kelly and Alex Dunn on pole. And away we go from the line. But it's a fantastic start from Alex Dunn, an even better one for Peter Dempsey, who goes through the middle as they head towards turn 1. It's a terrible start for Jordan Kelly, who gets away really, really poorly from the first row of the grid as they head towards turn 1. Alex Dunn on the inside, Peter Dempsey up the middle as they head into turn 1. Alex Dunn late on the brakes, turns it in. Dempsey gets a little bit sideways. Jordan Kelly fighting with Keith Dempsey as they come through turns 1, 2 and 3 on the road course. Through they go for the first time, but absolutely terrible getaway for the reigning champion at the moment. But Alex Dunn, a fantastic getaway. Peter Dempsey now challenging.
Absolutely brilliant. And the great thing about these Indy cars, I suppose, as opposed to the BMWs and these North American courses, particularly here at Indianapolis, is how wide the road is, which gives a really good opportunity to go 3 wide into turn 1. Really nice moves there by Peter Dempsey. Went up through the middle as Jordan Kelly started badly. As you say, how often do we say something bad about Jordan Kelly? Not very often, but a very disappointing start for him, having battled so hard to finish top. But a fantastic move by Peter Dempsey to dive through into the middle, and now it's Alex Dunn leading them out. So a great start from the young man.
Certainly is, only 14 years of age, so he's the youngest driver on the grid by quite some margin. So it's interesting to watch how this is going to get on, because Peter Dempsey, a vastly experienced racer right behind him as well, who was involved, of course, in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship, which is the series that's above this in the real world with Turn 3 Motorsport. He's the team principal, of course, so he's got some serious company. But now here we go. The drivers have been told to not weave down the straight, so it's all going to be just about the slipstream. Here's the head towards turn number 1. Here comes Peter Dempsey in the slipstream towards turn number 1 to the outside line, 238 kilometers an hour on the outside. Dempsey can't quite get it done though. Jordan Kelly trying to find some space here. These, of course, the USF2000 cars, which are the step below the Indy Pro 2000 cars. They are basically a US Formula 3, but they are a serious piece of kit. Great fun to drive, and they are perfect for this championship. And the new damage model is also available on these as well. So Alex Dunn from Peter Dempsey, Jordan Kelly, Keith Dempsey, Dave Maguire, Brian McManus, Niall Murray up in the top 10, Richard Lyons, Wayne Douglas, and Neville Smith. It's been a poor getaway as well for Josh Malin. He started P5, he's down to P12. But I think everybody basically got through nice and clean. But it's now on lap number 2, 10-lap race, and then of course the second race, Kevin, as always, we like to talk about the race too, because that is a reverse grid race with the top 15 inverted.
Yeah, always very exciting, those kind of races, and it's fascinating to see how those guys down the back how those guys that finished up front can battle their way through. So it just goes to show that this championship isn't just about straight speed. You need that racecraft as well. It's not about polling first and finishing first. You still have to navigate your way through and gain points in the second race. And as we've seen already this season, or last season, should I say, in the BMW M4 and M8 Championship, every single point counts. There are so many places which 2 or 3 points separated. A single drop race or a single mistake which costs you a couple of places halfway through the season can ultimately come back to haunt you. As we continue with Peter Dempsey keeping close track of Alex Dunn, and Keith down in 4th, he will have a point to prove as well. Of course, he's had a very disappointing season last season by his standards, and without a single race win, which is something we're not used to seeing from Keith. We're on board with him now as he chases down Jordan Kelly and brother Peter. But yeah, a fantastic start to this championship, nice and clean, which is what we like to see. And as you say, Jack, those USF2000 cars are just they're really, as you say, the kind of perfect level for this championship. It means they're not overly powered so that you're struggling with the setup, but also they're stuck to the ground, and they really allow for close wheel-to-wheel racing, which is what we like to see.
Exactly, yeah. Keith Dempsey's got very close company in the shape of Dave Maguire. Of course, remember Dave was fighting for the Pro-Am Championship in the M4 M8 Championship last night. Now he's up fighting in the top 5 in the Pro class of this championship. So great to see Dave fighting it out up here in P number 5. The fastest man on the circuit at the moment is actually a certain Niall Murray, currently P7. Now heading through the oval, we're heading backwards on the oval, of course, on Indianapolis. Peter Dempsey is going to get a massive slipstream here on Alex Dunn. He tried to move a lap earlier, but Dunn is just absolutely hugging that wall on the inside, and there's not a hell of a lot he can do. But Dempsey got a great run this time. He's going to have to put up a staunch move around the outside of the young car to hear Alex Dunn much later on the brakes. There's not a hell of a lot you can do when they have the inside line, so he's going to have to be brave if he wants to try that one on Alex Dunn. But right now, Peter Dempsey is just hanging in there, but the slipstream is very powerful in these cars, as you would expect for these type. And you can see, but there's a small kind of gap forming now between the top two. Jordan Kelly just slightly behind. Dave Maguire is now past Keith Dempsey, actually. So Maguire is running really well. I must say he's impressing me up in P4 right now. He's past Keith Dempsey, multiple champion. And Alex Dunn with a slowdown. That's going to hurt him now. Peter Dempsey has got to the lead. Jordan Kelly's going to move to P2. He's going to lose it out to Dave Maguire as well. He's going to have to hug that inside line. But Dave Maguire, he's having a go on the outside line, but he can't quite do it. But that is very costly. Look how much time he managed to lose to Peter Dempsey there with a simple slowdown.
Yeah, and we saw with Alex in the Brands Hatch Championship, even when he was racing against the Sebastian Jobs and Alex, the Carls, Graham Carls of this world, that it's very clear the man has pace, but it's just a case of racecraft and being consistent and clean, and just losing out, as you say, there in the slowdown. But he's still very much in the picture here, and with the slipstream, as we say, very possible. Just looking, as you say, Niall Murray there set the fastest lap last lap. He's up 7 places from 14th. Big movers as well as Jonathan Brown. He started 29th. He's up to 17th now, 12 places gained there. So there is some moving and shaking around the field, and it will be interesting to see whether, as we say, Keith or Peter's now ahead of Alex. But that move into turn 1, you do end up going quite deep into that corner, and of course, there's contact there behind, and that looks like it's Alex Dunn. Alex Dunn spinning off the track there. Couldn't quite see, was there contact there with him, and potentially was it Brian McManus behind him? We'll have to go back and have a look at that again. But Peter Dempsey going forward there, he's still in first place. That's disappointing for Alex. So we see the replay of Alex Dunn, which unfortunately I can't quite see.
So Peter Dempsey now.
Sorry, Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we're having to run some very different commentary setups tonight. So if we end up talking over each other, apologies for that. But Alex Dunn getting sent around in the second part of the lap by, I think it was a nudge from Jordan Kelly. It was P2. He was P2 in front of Jordan, so I can only assume it was a little bit of contact there. But now, how about this? Keith Dempsey coming back now at Dave Maguire as they head towards turn number 1, and Keith goes back in. Here comes McManus with a lunge on the both of them. Up into turn number 1, there's going to be contact. Oh no, there's even more contact. Keith Dempsey and McManus come to blows in turn number 1, and that's going to be a big into P5. But McManus now unfortunately involved in that one, and that's going to cost them big time. But it's Peter Dempsey from Jordan Kelly. Now Dave Maguire's P3, Niall Murray's into P4. Now look at this, Neville Smith, Wayne Douglas up into P6, and Josh Malin's in the fight now as they come through the first sector for the 6th time. Neville Smith up the inside of Douglas as they head through. He's going to run him out wide there. They're going to get very close, almost front wing to rear wing contact there. Josh Malin getting a run on the both of them. Here we go, 3. I get the both of them. Oh, there's going to be more. Ned Douglas with a little time through here with the guys going for the move right now, but first round is always going to be a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, definitely. That was an interesting incident there, and as you say, it's very difficult. We were saying how the aero does allow you to obviously run close side by side, but when it comes to being behind in front, just a little bit of a tap can unsettle the car, and the cars are susceptible to being spun around when they are unsettled. Niall Murray, as you say, is continuing his charge up the table. He's fourth position now, up 10 places, and Peter Dempsey pulling away. He's creating a gap there from the rest, and really it's a case of, in this first race with guys still getting used to the car a little bit, and I don't think there's too many that are massive fans of the Indianapolis road track in amongst our drivers tonight. So I suppose it's a case of playing to the conditions and keeping it safe. But yeah, just a pity there for Wayne Douglas, because that was some fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing. As you see, Michael Devaney now around the outside of T1, but can't get the move to go.
Yeah, so couldn't quite make it work. But Peter Dempsey, he's getting slightly reeled in now by Jordan Kelly. He's not too far behind him. Dave Maguire running in a very good P3 spot right now. So it is really good to see these guys still very, very close together. And it is an interesting battle to watch. Niall Murray still with the fastest lap at the moment, 0.4 of a second quicker than Maguire, but I think he's kind of in on his own at the moment, so he's not really got a slipstream in front. We've got 3 laps to go now as we come across the line now, but you can see Jordan Kelly, he's right in the slipstream here as they come down the straight for the next time. Now, can Jordan regain what he lost in the early laps? He's moving to the outside line as they head towards turn number 1 and has to defend now, does Peter Dempsey, but the battle is now on between the reigning champion and a race winner from last season in this class as they come through turn number 2. It's getting feisty up the front now between these two, and Dave Maguire is going to be hoping that they continue to fight hard, and it is very, very interesting between the both of these. Peter Dempsey, vastly experienced, Jordan Kelly now a champion but also vastly experienced, and Dave Maguire making the move up into the Pro-Am, from the Pro-Am class to the Pro class this season, and he's now not too far behind them as they come down the back straight. A good slipstream now for Kelly. You can see a little bit defensive line from Peter Dempsey as the move through. He's trying to break the toe as much as he can, but he's not allowed to weave. They have been told to avoid the weaving as through sector number 2 they come. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm glad to see.
It is great to see this getting so close.
Yeah, I was glad to see that rule, the no weaving rule, because it does encourage, a lot more strategic racing for Peter. There's 2 laps left. Perhaps if he let Jordan slipstream him, could he take him going over the line into the final corner if he keeps it close? Obviously, Peter's at this point is thinking about defending, but the fact that drivers can't weave certainly means that there is chances of late drama happening. There is chances of getting a late slipstream on somebody and a potential photo finish, which is always what we love to see, particularly the way that corner opens out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway when you come off the final turn 11, which is a bit of an awkward one as you're entering the oval and you're trying to pick up as much speed as you can through turns 12 and 13. As now Jordan Kelly goes around the outside. Can he make this stick? He's on the brakes, but it is very, very difficult. It is difficult to make it stick into that corner, in fairness. It's just the road, the way it's not really a full right-hander, which means that even if you have your nose ahead, the man inside gets a much better run through that chicane, through to almost, it is almost a chicane, turns 1 and 2 really, into 3, and as you come back around on 4. So I suppose the next chance now for Jordan Kelly, he'll be waiting for turn 7. So this is turn 6 we're coming around now, and now about to go through turn 7. Can Jordan get something through? There is an incident involving cars 3 and 7 under investigation. I'll just check out, that's Robert Moore, and car 7 is Brian McManus. So those are 2 guys who know each other very well. As Rory O'Shea's now battling, he seems to have gotten ahead of Johnny McMullen. Can he make that stick? Yes, he has. That's good work there from Rory O'Shea, but McMullen's going to come back down the inside. Oh, big mistake there from O'Shea, and McMullen's back in the lead, but we go back up the front with Peter Dempsey, Jack.
White flag in the air. Here comes Jordan Kelly for the lead on the last lap. Here we go. He's going to move to the outside line. Maguire's watching from behind. This is a tight battle now. Kelly regains the lead as they head towards turn number 1. Round the outside, Dempsey's going to run him. Oh, contact up front, and around goes Peter Dempsey. Jordan Kelly retakes the lead in this race. Dave Maguire into P2. He's going to lose the lead. Is Dave Maguire going to try and get a first win here as they head through sector number 2? There was a front to rear contact as they came through, but Jordan Kelly leads. But has he got damage on that car as they come through? Dave Maguire on course for a first Pro Class win if he manages to get past. It is really, really tight here as they come through sector number 2, and it is such a crushing blow to see Peter Dempsey taken out of the lead here on the last lap as they come through. Now down the straight, Dave Maguire's got a chance at a win here. Into sector 2 they come, into the apex, into the left, into the right. Dave Maguire's really trying here. He's going to have a good slipstream when they get to the line here. And it is unbelievable. I don't know how Jordan managed to escape from that contact. It was so heavy, and I'm surprised the suspension didn't give way on that car, but it's going to be a run for the line here between both of these cars as they head through the beginning to come onto the oval. Here comes Dave Maguire now in the oval. It's going to be a photo finish between the champion and the Pro-Am driver. Around the outside comes Dave Maguire. It's going to be Maguire who's going to come to the line. It's going to be so close here as they come to the finish line. Dave Maguire, checkered flag, wins on the line. Unbelievable first win for Dave Maguire in the Pro Class. That is fantastic. Photo finish behind between Douglas, Dempsey and Devaney as they come across the line. Wow, Dave Maguire, what a drive. He wins the first round of the championship by a hair's width and beats none other than Jordan Kelly on his debut in the Pro Class. That is fantastic. Also some returning faces from many seasons past. But here we go. Round 2 is go. Harry McGovern away from the line, and there was a missing grid spot next to him. And Nicky Meredith, absolute flyer from the inside as they head towards turn 1. It's McGovern defending the inside as they head down towards the first corner, nearly four wide as they come down towards turn 1, nearly 5 as they head into turn 1. It's going to be Nicky Meredith to the lead. Neville Smith follows in behind. McGovern was very cautious as they came through there, but it's Meredith, Smith, McGovern, Brown, Wayne Douglas, Peter Dempsey, Josh Malin, Richard Faulkner, Devaney. Alex Dunn looks like he's had a problem further down the order as he's been again involved in an incident as he falls down to 24th place. It looks like it could have been a spin in turn 1 for Dunn, and that's not what he needs, but it is Meredith. Oh, Neville Smith with a big lunge up the inside, and Neville Smith gets the lead from Nicky Meredith with Meredith switchback line, and again in a double switchback for Neville Smith here. This is great racing, but Meredith is a proven race winner. Neville Smith, again, a new driver to the championship as well, and he's proven his worth here as he fights it out with Harry McGovern, of course, another contender for the Pro-Am title last year. Remember, he is P3, but of course, Peter Dempsey's back for blood. He's into P4.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll be hanging around with Peter Dempsey, although I think it'd be interesting to see that battle between Neville Smith and Harry McGovern. Nicky Meredith was a little bit squally out of, let me see, it looked like he was coming out of turn 7, which kind of opened the door for Neville Smith to make a move. He's into second now, but Nicky is blinking a little bit on my screen, what I can see, but he seems to be staying ahead. And I know an interesting move down the inside for Harry McGovern between Neville Smith, and great to see, because you know, often with the feature race, you tend to focus on the guys up the front. So this is a really good opportunity to see what the guys behind have, because as we say, they are all so close. We have been talking about obviously the Josh Malins and the Jordan Kellys and the Dave Maguires, but these guys you see battling, they're only tenths of seconds or thousands of seconds off these guys in qualifying. So really the standard is absolutely massive all the way around the field. Oh, that's Nicky Meredith.
It really is. They're going 2 by 2 by 2 in the middle. Oh, McGovern's around. McGovern and Neville Smith are around in the gravel trap. That's such a shame after such a hard battle in the midfield, and they've come to blows again. So Neville Smith involved in a second incident in the gravel trap with McGovern in the middle sector. So that is not what he needs after such a good start. He started on pole all the way down to the back of the field now, but Peter Dempsey's in the lead, Kevin, after all of that. It's Peter Dempsey from Josh Malin. Jonathan Brown is into P3, and Keith Dempsey out of nowhere once again. He likes to do that, come out of nowhere, into P4. Then it's Niall Murray into P6, Jordan Kelly, Wayne Douglas, and David Maguire, the race winner from round number 1, fighting it out with Wayne Douglas, speaking with Rob Moore's in the fight too, as they head round the oval. On to lap number 3, they will come shortly. Peter Dempsey, he's now got a second chance at this. He's in the lead from Josh Malin. He's got a decent lead. Jonathan Brown is into P3. Keith, then it's Richard Faulkner, Niall Murray, and Jordan Kelly now into P7 with the winner who he fought out with. But look at this, they're nearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide heading down towards turn 1. This is fantastic racing between all of these guys, but this is really, really hard racing all the way through. Rob Moore's in the grass. He gets back going again, though, as they head through. But it's Jordan Kelly ahead of Dave Maguire. But this is just non-stop racing. But Peter Dempsey somehow from 14th, or from further down the order, way down the order, he ends up, I think he started P7 actually, up to the lead, keeping his nose clean. Josh Malin as well, up the order. And it is great to see. He's great. Now, surely something can't go wrong now.
Yes, the commentator's cursed. Good work there, Jack. Saying that something was only the small matter of another 12 laps for Peter Dempsey, plus a slipstream could potentially come into it because Josh Malin isn't all that far off him. I talked about Niall Murray before the race. He's up 8 places again. He's making an enormous amount through the race. Keith Dempsey up 8 places as well. Although Patrick McKenna seems to be an issue, he's dropped down the order. Harry McGovern Nicky Meredith unfortunately seemed to have some technical issue which saw him out of the race, but I think Harry McGovern will be disappointed there with Neville Smith. It'd be interesting to see what was said on the driver's chat during that, because I think Smith came in a little bit hot into Meredith and turned them round and sent them both off as McKenna's now down the order. But yeah, it's some fantastic racing. Like even Fabrizio Rivera, the new driver here, he's up 13 places in the 10th position.
Oh, look at this down towards turn 1. They're 4 abreast on the apex. And it's going to end in tears. A round goes for Fabrizio Rivera, who you just mentioned. He gets back going again, though. Unfortunately, Brian McManus gets sent around. He tried to go up the inside of everybody, but it didn't quite work. Alex Dunn up to P9 in this one. He's got Kevin Lacey, Rob Moore, Wayne Douglas, Mark McKenna in this big train as well. But this is just mental. This car is just total slipstream fest, and this is what you get when you don't rely so much on the aerodynamics, but the slipstream is just so powerful that it just causes these crazy moments.
I'm looking back through some of the replays here, Jack. No fewer than 9 cars all involved in that pack going into turn 1. 9 cars all trying to fit into turn 1 at the same time. That is unbelievable altogether. There's phenomenal racing, and the fact that Fabrizio was the only one that lost out is quite surprising, because normally those things end up in total tears, but thankfully Indianapolis wide enough, I suppose, to accommodate people a little bit more space. But just very little between the gap here going down the list from let me see, all the way down to P8 and Dave Maguire, who's again up 7. Dave Maguire, there's very little between them, so a potential accident, somebody has a slowdown, you always have a chance to make up places here.
You do. Niall Murray's on the hunt now as well. He's just got past Jonathan Brown, who is in P5. Jordan Kelly's hunting him down as well. Jordan has the fastest lap of the race, now 26.4 at the moment. So he's on trying to recover. He started in P14, of course, and trying to get himself up the order. Dave Maguire still in a great P8 at the moment, just behind Richard Faulkner, who's running really well in that 7th spot at the moment. But it's still in the hands of Peter Dempsey. Another 11 laps to go. Lap 4 incident involving car 77 and car 7 is under investigation. So the stewards are going to be hard at work today through this one. But and so fast in that first round, and the wonder is, could he maybe put a challenge on to Peter Dempsey, because he was certainly very quick in that last heat, but just didn't have a slipstream to drag himself up.
Yeah, that's the incident between Brian McManus and Fabrizio Rivera, but to be honest, it could have been any one of 8 drivers involved with Fabrizio Rivera going into T1 there. Keeping an eye on the big movers and the big shakers. David Burtis is up 14 places into 15th, while Mark McKenna now is up 16 places into 12th. Our leader Josh Malin is up 10 places, as we say, from 11th. So there are some massive movers and shakers, and I don't know, should I really say this? Is I'm in the same race where I say that there's so little between them. We still see Josh Malin, Peter Dempsey, Keith Dempsey, Niall Murray, Jordan Kelly. Like, it is always the same guys who seem to always be competing, whether it's in the GT stuff or indeed the open wheel stuff. They are up the top. Can Josh hold off Peter? I think Peter might be a little bit conservative going into T1 from here on in. But yeah, fantastic opportunity. The two Dempseys were running so close to each other in qualifying And once again, it just shows you it's only taken 6 laps essentially to for those guys to make their way all the way from where they qualified in the or from where they finished after the feature, or after the first heat, to go back up the top of the table now in the feature race.
Yeah, so Josh Malin taking the lead from Peter Dempsey as they came through T1 that time. Fabrizio Rivera trying to recover after that, getting sent around in that 4 abreast moment into turn 1. He drops down to P22, just behind Kevin Lacey and Cole. But now, Peter, this is going to be just the story of the race here. Peter Dempsey's going to come straight back at Josh Malin with the slipstream, and there's absolutely nothing you can do, because Peter Dempsey now car length in front, retakes the lead. He's going to slot in front of Josh Malin here. Josh is going to is smart. He knows there's not much he can do about that, and slots back into the lead. So Peter Dempsey retakes the lead here in this race, and this is going to be fantastic. Of course, Josh Malin was the only contender against Jordan Kelly in the championship last season. It is great to see him up at the front here as they come through. But look who's joined the fray, Kevin. He's always here, isn't he? It's Mr. Keith Dempsey.
Yeah, and as I say, man with a point to prove, Keith, after last season. Niall Murray getting an off-track there, slow down, so he's dropped it down the order, and even just a simple slowdown has seen him drop up 4 places. But yeah, Peter and Keith, they're always up the top. It's great to see Josh Malin as well, obviously a man who knows an awful lot about open wheel racing, and Jordan Kelly with the Formula V stuff and the karting. And it is really, the roots of Ireland's motor racing is in karting racing, and this is really just a natural step up for that. So it's not surprising to see these guys do so well, and Keith has an experience of driving these things properly on the actual track. So I'm really not surprised to see him do well. And as we say, you can be quick, and a lot of these guys are quick in everything they go to, but where the real strategy lies, is where the real skill lies, is that racecraft, as we see Josh Malin overtake Peter Dempsey again going through the slipstream. And I wonder, are these guys almost hoping that they won't be in the lead coming off the second to last turn on the final lap? Because once you're within a tenth or
Jordan Kelly certainly won't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, will Jordan rage quit after if that ends up happening to him again? But it just goes to show you, like a tenth or 2 tenths you can be behind, and that slipstream will just carry you up and over the line. So this certainly, like as we say, just very, very close now between the top 3, and any one of 3 of them, it would be fantastic to see a 3-wide finish. But there's still a lot of racing to go before then.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see now the 2 brothers are together, Peter Dempsey and Keith Dempsey, and we know from previous experience these lads, they don't give each other an inch, so they will absolutely go for it between the 2 of them when it's for the race win. So Josh Malin doing his absolute best at the front right now. Of course, he's the GT5 champion for of course 2020, and yeah, so Josh Malin, of course, GT5 champion from this season, and Peter Dempsey, if you're aware, Turn 3 Motorsport principal, runs a team over in the US, Indy Pro 2000, and of course, very, very experienced. And Keith Dempsey, of course, multiple champion for Digital-Motorsports, Jordan Kelly, the reigning champion for this season, and now Jonathan Brown, of course, massively experienced in Formula Ford in P5. Dave Maguire, a Pro-Am contender. Niall Murray, we all know how good Niall is in Formula Ford and basically everything he gets into. And Richard Faulkner in P8. Alex Dunn, of course, 14-year-old Carter. And Sean McGovern, doing really well up in P10, actually, in Sean McGovern at the moment. As we look further down the order, there is Rob Moore, actually a series regular. Mark McKenna as well, series regular. Tony Stack, always there in and about, just on the cusp of the top 10. Brian McManus in there. David Budrez, of course, P15. Michael Devaney, 16th, just behind Patrick McKenna. And then it'll be Ronan Doherty. Then Patrick McKenna, then Harry McGovern, who of course started on pole in this race. Kevin Lacey right behind him. Then it's Peter McCann, again a series regular, and Fabrizio Rivera. So there's McCann, who just got passed.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jack, but I suppose we were just talking about Keith Dempsey and obviously running at P3 at the moment, and speaking of his actual racing career. But I had Peter on the Off the Grid podcast a few months ago last season, and we were speaking about the democratization of sim racing, how sim racing, you know, these guys, as we saw in Brands Hatch, Keith Dempsey was ended up racing with a glued brake pedal. But, you know, like, for a company like Digital Motorsports to be involved and really, you know, we see so many of their stuff now. It's gone from being based in Mondello now to going around the world, going over to America, big rigs being supplied, as we see the SimTag pedals, you know, the hydraulic pedals, like outrageous stuff altogether. And really, when you consider the price of sim racing compared to real racing, you're getting top quality equipment from these guys. You know, for kind of a fraction of the price of what you'd be paying to do the real stuff. Of course, remember Simucube. If you are interested, a lot of these guys that you're watching here are running direct drive wheels, which is kind of the best that you can get in terms of sim racing, and kind of replicating that real feel. Simucube, we have a competition going at the moment. Of course, do leave a comment in the comment section of the video who you think is the best driver of the day and why. I think the why is the most important part of that, and you could be in line to win a Simucube direct drive base worth over €1,000. So yeah, a nice bit of kit. But yeah, it just goes to show you that a lot of these guys, you know, they race real world, but especially at the moment with the pandemic and the lockdown in Ireland, but also just generally a lot of guys who might necessarily have the money to get hugely involved in the real racing. The kind of equipment that you can get on the budget that you can afford is really exceptional.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's Brian McManus getting past Mark McKenna. We just saw a swap between Josh Malin and Keith Dempsey. Josh had a bit of a wiggle out of the last corner, just getting onto the ovals. Now at Dempsey 1-2. So this is something that we've actually seen quite a lot. And it was interesting to watch as they came down the straight. Peter actually opted to give the slipstream to his brother rather than to Josh. So there's still that little element of family love there. But once they get, I don't think Peter's going to be that generous when Keith gets closer to him, when we head through the next sector. But it's a great battle to watch here between these, and Jordan Kelly is getting just a little bit closer each time we look, and he's closing up to the back of Josh Malin right now. But there's still a few laps to go in this race, so anything can still happen as we come through over the line to begin lap number 12. But it's now Dempsey and Dempsey at the front of the field. Josh Malin is third. Jordan Kelly is fourth. Now, I think if anybody's going to gain a position here, it's going to be Josh Malin. He's the closest of anybody. Of course, Peter Dempsey hugging the wall here as they head towards turn one. Here comes Josh Malin on the outside. He's just keeping out of the slipstream, actually, interestingly enough. He doesn't want to actually pass. This is just going to be, I think, a case of just sticking in there, and you really don't want to be at the head of the field heading off that last lap, because Peter Dempsey did have a larger gap, but the slipstream has just brought Keith Dempsey right back into it.
Yeah,
Jordan is getting closer in the field as well.
Yeah, Peter, I was looking at the lap times there, and there was, I think, maybe 0.02 of a second between Peter and Keith in the lap previous to the last one. And now in the last one, Peter's time was around about the same, 1:27.4, but Keith's down to a 1:27 flat almost. So it just goes to show you there's about 0.4 of a difference, which is absolutely enormous when you consider how close these guys are running together. So yeah, it's a case really of holding off, and timing is everything when you come onto the final corner. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a very, very close finish come the end of this feature race. There's only 3 laps to go. Let's get it on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jordan Kelly's now in the slipstream of Josh Malin, so it is getting now to be a 4-car fight. And I think Keith is closer than he has been over the past couple of laps now, so there could be a swap between the two here as they head down towards turn number 1. Looking at Peter Dempsey now as they head towards the first corner. There's Keith in his slipstream. He's going to pull out and go for it. Here comes Keith as they come towards turn number 1. Will it be a finally to end the win drought for Keith Dempsey? Peter backs out of it. Keith Dempsey leads on lap number 13 of 15. It's nice to see him back up at the front once again in this championship. Josh Malin is still firmly on the tail of Peter Dempsey as well. and Jordan Kelly just watching from the wings. If anything, I think this could be a good place for Jordan to be in, because he knows exactly what it's like to lead. I think he'll prefer to be behind when we head onto that last lap, but there's still 2.5 laps left in this race. But now Keith leads the field.
I mean, it's a good position for Jordan to be, but do remember he does have not only are the two Dempsey's brethren, but we also have that old rivalry between Turn 3 and VRA Racing. Of course, Jordan is VRA, the two Dempseys are Turn 3, so they'll be trying to help each other out as much as they can, slipstream each other to see if they can get away from Jordan, and then Josh kind of in the middle of all of it, hoping that he doesn't avoids any contact. But yeah, it will be interesting to see whether that old team rivalry plays itself out with Keith leading at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised to see Keith offer Peter up this slipstream now as we go into the next lap, as we just see there Keith still leading from Peter at the moment, but it looks like Peter's going to overtake Keith. Yeah.
They're going to go 3 wide is what they're going to do down towards turn 1. Peter Dempsey's in the middle. Keith's on the left. Josh Malin is going to try and take P2. Keith Dempsey is now down to P3, so he loses 2 spots. He gets offered up to the gods as they head down towards turn 1, so Keith drops down to P3, and Jordan Kelly joins the fun now in this race. Peter Dempsey has a small gap, but now it's going to get very, very chaotic in these 2 laps remaining. Peter Dempsey's building a small lap. Josh Malin defends the inside as they head down. Jordan Kelly getting very close to the back of Keith Dempsey as they head through sector number 2, with 3 abreast for the lead. They kept it clean, but Peter Dempsey with a small lead as they head down into turn number just in the back straight. Now they begin to start to try and break the toe. They've got to watch the weaving a little bit though as they head into this sector. They've been warned about that. But Peter Dempsey is going to be the man at the head of the field when they go on to the last lap. Josh Malin is second, Keith is third, and Jordan is fourth on the back. So it's VRA versus turn 3 versus the independent Josh Malin. But here we go. This is going to be absolute madness on the last lap. Here we go onto the oval for the last time. It's Peter at the front, Josh in P2, Keith in P3, and Jordan in P4. Watch this as they head on to the last lap. Jordan Kelly is going to try and gain as many positions as he can as they head towards over the line for the white flag in this second round of the championship. Who is going to come out on top in this one? It's been absolutely brilliant racing all the way through this one. Down towards turn 1. Peter Dempsey's got to defend that inside. Who's going to go where? Peter holds the middle. Jordan holds the outside line, round the outside. Keith tries it on Josh, but they actually remain in the same place as they actually started as they entered the oval. And it's going to be a run for the line between all of these guys at the end of this one. Can Peter Dempsey hold on? He was taken out of the lead on the previous race. Now can he hang on to secure a win in this last race of the night? It's been fantastic to watch these guys, but now Josh Malin is going to be absolutely glued as best he can to the back of Peter Dempsey as they head on down the straight for the last time. It's 4 cars for the win in the iDMC, and it's absolutely what we love to see. On board with Jordan Kelly as he tries to gain another podium position. It's going to be P2 and P4, but at least for Jordan, if he keeps it together. Josh Malin is trying desperately to try and gain a win in this championship, but can Peter Dempsey do enough? He has a decent gap as they head round the right-hander. It's going to be very close for P2. Here they come onto the oval. I think Peter Dempsey might have done enough here. White flag in the air as they head round the last corner. It's Peter Dempsey at the head of the field as they head towards the line. I couldn't call a winner as they come through the last corner, but I think it's going to be Peter Dempsey who's going to hang on for the win. I don't know who's going to get P2 as they head towards the checkered flag. Peter Dempsey secures round number 2, and it's going to be Josh Malin holds on for second. Keith Dempsey is third, and Jordan Kelly P4. Peter Dempsey gets the win he so deserved, and Dave McGuire a double top 5, a win in P5 for him, but Peter Dempsey back in victory lane.
Absolutely. And thanks a million for joining us on the coverage here of the opening 2 rounds of the iDMC season 1 winter season for 2021, of course, in association with Motorsport Ireland. Thanks as well to our sponsors, SimuCube Ireland and Digital-Motorsports being Ireland's only OEM partner, supplying fully built simulators with the SimuCube technology and sales of SimuCube direct drive wheelbases. If you do want to get your hands on one of those, remember there's still time to leave a few comments for who you think should be driver of the day. Thanks as well to SimTag and best hydraulic pedals available on the market. You can get those as well through Digital digitalmotorsports.com, and Shoreway, the leading specialists in the sale and supply of new and used forklifts. And if you're watching along with our live timings, Shoreway has been a huge help to that. Thanks, of course, to our race stewards as well, Rob King and Sean McGinley, and of course Niall Maher for putting all of this together, along with all the guys in Digital Motorsports. But from myself, Jack Canan, and from Kevin Galvin, here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's long full.
They say that perfection doesn't exist in this game. Most players just don't have it in them. But those who dare to seek it might catch excellence. And that sounds perfect to me. So, I'm done playing. Let's drive.